A very good morning to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First, let me ask the General Manager, Finance and Administration, Reverend Dr. Eugenia Bule, to say an opening prayer for us.
Shall we pray? Father, in the name of Jesus, we are grateful to you. Thank you for 50 years of your faithfulness towards this company. Thank you for 5 decades of your grace towards this company. Thank you for half a century of your goodness towards this company. We give you all the praise. This morning, as we gather for an AGM, we are asking you to take control and let your perfect will be done. Above all, we are asking, may the next 50 years of this company be filled with your blessings. In Jesus' name we have prayed, amen.
Thank you, Dr. Bule. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the annual general meeting of Intravenous Infusions PLC, which I now declare open. There are 7 motions on which you will have an opportunity to vote. I wish to explain that you have the opportunity to second each motion before we put it to the meeting. There will then be an opportunity for questions on that particular motion only before a vote is taken. To facilitate the counting of votes, please raise your right hand or admission cards when you vote. I would therefore request that those seconding motions or asking questions should commence by stating their names clearly. I would also mention that the registrar of directors' interests in contracts and the register of directors' holdings are available for inspection in compliance with the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. Before the commencement of formal proceedings, I would like to introduce to you the members of the board of directors of your company here present. Professor Mrs. Gladys Amponsa. Auntie Gladys, if you. Mr. Samuel K. Apentin. Professor Williams Atulek. Nana Ose Kwame Chikwe, our newly appointed director. Mr. Mukhtar Swalihu. We also have Mr. Leon K. Apentin, who has been assigned duties, outside the country. I thought he would be here today, but he's not. And I'm your chairman, Isaac Osei. Except Mr. Mukhtar Swalihu, the managing director, all the other directors are non-executive directors. There's another director who represents our institutional shareholder, Mr. Emmanuel Blankson of the National Investment Bank. You are? Yeah, outside these premises. In compliance with good corporate governance rules, Professor Gladys Amponsa and Professor Williams Atulek are independent, non-executive directors. We have in attendance the company secretaries, the Hans Services Limited, represented by Mrs. Felicia Pagan. Is the auditor Intellisis, yes, represented by Mrs. Myra Stellanza. Our management team, led by Swalihu Mukhtar, also includes Mr. Kenneth Ajawude, Mr. Isaac Insia Efriye, Reverend Eugenia Bule has already been introduced. Ken Ajawude is the General Manager Technical and Operations. Mr. Insia Efriye is GM Marketing, and Dr. Eugenia Bule is the GM Finance and Operations. We also have in attendance GCB registrars, represented by Mr. Michael Reko. They are just outside registering those who are coming in. We also have the stock exchange. The representative is not here, but I believe Mrs. Joyce Boachi will be representing the stock exchange. What about SEC? SEC is here, yes. Securities and Exchange Commission are also duly represented. Now to the formal proceedings. The company secretary will read the notice of the meeting.
Thank you, Board Chairman. I read. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of the shareholders of the company will be held on Friday, 21st June 2024 at the University for Development Studies Guest House, Accra at 11 a.m. Agenda: 1. Opening. 2. To receive the report of the directors, the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2023, and the report of the auditors thereon. 3. To declare a dividend. 4. To re-elect directors retiring by rotation. 5. To approve the appointment of Nana Osei Kwame Chirichie. 6. To approve the directors' fees. 7. To authorize the board to negotiate and fix the fees of the auditors. By order of the board, it is signed by Company Secretary, Dehan Services Limited, represented here by Felicia Pega. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Item number 2. I now formally lay before the meeting the director's report, statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income, together with a statement of financial position for the year ended 31st December 2023, and the reports of the auditors therein. I shall be pleased to answer any questions which you may have on the report and financial statements, but before taking questions, I would like to present to you my address on the company's performance last year and our prospects for the future. Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome all of you to this year's annual general meeting of Intravenous Infusions PLC, and to present to you the annual report of the directors. The business today will also be for you to receive the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2023, and the report of the auditors thereon. First, let's consider a macroeconomic review. The global economy experienced slow recovery in 2023 on the back of a major economic downturn for 2022. The year 2022 was characterized by rising food prices and increased inflation, geopolitical tensions in Europe and the Middle East, global growth fell to 2.9% per annum, way below the historical average of 3.8% per annum. In 2023, global action to tackle inflation saw many countries tighten their monetary policies aggressively, which saw inflation easing by year-end 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, similarly on the domestic front, there has been stabilization and marginal recovery of the economy from the economic downturn experienced in the year 2022. The major economic indicators saw marginal improvement in 2023. Inflation, which was at a peak of 54.1% in 2022, had declined to 23.2% by December 2023. The decline in inflation was driven by sharp drops in both food and non-food inflation. Food inflation decelerated to 28.7% in December 2023 from a high of 59.7% in December 2022. And non-food inflation fell to 18.7% from 49.9% over the same period in 2022. The rate of depreciation of the Ghana cedi was lower in 2023 than in the year 2022, except for January 2023, where the Ghana cedi depreciated by 20.6%. The cedi depreciated by 27.8% in 2023, compared with the depreciation of 30% in 2022. On the money market front, interest rates generally trended downwards. The 91-day Treasury bill rate decreased from 35.48% in 2022 to 29.49% in 2023. The average lending rate of the banks decreased marginally from 35.58% to 33.75%. Ladies and gentlemen, the year 2023 has been a relatively good year for us in terms of our strategies to achieve growth. Your company recorded a revenue growth of 54.3% year on year. The revenue growth rate achieved, coupled with prudent management of costs, resulted in turning the loss of 3.5 million cedis recorded in 2022 into a profit before tax of 3.3 million in 2023. Retained earnings increased by 242% compared with a decline of 77% in 2022. Shareholders' funds increased by 17.2% relative to a decline of 19.2% in 2022. Assets utilization ratio also improved significantly from 43.5% in 2022 to 67.6% in 2023. Distinguished shareholders, the board will continue its pursuit of policies aimed at maximizing revenues and improving existing and new systems of controls to achieve efficiency and enhance shareholder value. Outlook for 2024. The economy of Ghana is expected to continue its path of recovery as we enter the second year of the International Monetary Fund program with the government. Government is currently negotiating with bilateral creditors and external bondholders to complete the debt exchange program. Interest rates charged by banks are expected to trend downwards as inflation eases downwards through the monetary policies of the Bank of Ghana, as well as the improvement in food production. The currency depreciation is expected to continue, but at a reduced rate. All the major macroeconomic indicators are expected to improve as we near the end of the IMF program. At our operational level, we will continue with the existing and new policies aimed at maximizing revenues and pursuing strategies to achieve our growth objectives. Our short to medium-term growth strategies of market expansion for both domestic and export markets shall be vigorously pursued. Product expansion through collaborative partnerships with other pharmaceutical companies and the development of new products will remain our focus areas. Existing and new systems of controls will be pursued to enhance efficiency in our value chain and achieve cost controls. We shall continue our engagement with our regulators with a view to addressing regulatory gaps for improved compliance. We shall pursue policies aimed at enhancing our brand image, increase our social responsibility work, and collaborate effectively with our key stakeholders. On corporate governance, I must say that the main responsibility of the board is to ensure that there is accountability, transparency, and fairness in the supervision of management. The board is charged with putting in place systems and controls which management is expected to work with to deliver the short, medium, and long-term objectives of the company. The board periodically reviews the operations and effectiveness of the systems and controls and correct any weaknesses identified. To this end, the board has adequately resourced the internal audit department to work with management to ensure that the controls are complied with. The board carries out its activities effectively by adhering to the requirements of the board charter, through which the board is able to carry out its responsibilities and appraise its performance. The board meets 4 times in a year and has a schedule of matters specifically reserved for its decision. Various committees of the board meet before the main board meeting. Training programs are also provided to directors as and when necessary. Changes in the composition of the board of directors. During the year, Mr. Edward Nana Osei, now known as Nana Osei Kwame Chikwie, was appointed to the board. The board structure consists, as I have indicated earlier, of 2 independent directors, 1 executive director, and 5 non-executive directors, including the chairman. Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, the past few years have been very difficult years for all of us. But after the board reviewed the full year financial performance and in consideration of the non-payment of dividends for the last 2 years, the board recommends for shareholders' approval for a dividend of 0.0028 cedis per share to be paid. In conclusion, on behalf of members of the board, I wish to thank our shareholders for attending today's annual general meeting. Our gratitude goes to our customers, our secretaries, the Hans Services Limited, our auditors, Intellisys Chartered Accountants, our regulators, Food and Drugs Authority, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Ghana Stock Exchange, and our other business partners for their dedication and hard work in supporting us in our achievements during the year 2023. I thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. May I now invite our auditors to present their report.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, the auditor's report is a 3-page document. If you are up, read the relevant and regulatory statutory areas. Thank you. Independent Auditor's Report to the shareholders of Intravenous Infusions, PLC. Opinion.
We have audited the financial statements of Intravenous Infusions PLC set out on pages 31 to 54, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31 December 2023, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, the statement of changes in equity, the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as of 31 December 2023, and its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, with the IAS 29 directive issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, and in the manner by the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standards, the code, issued by the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, and we have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. I will skip through the key audit matter and how we address the key audit matter in our audit, and go to the report and on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies Act 2019, Act 992, requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider a report to you on the following matters. We confirm that, 1, we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the company so far as appears from my examination of those books. 3, the company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. 4, in our opinion, to the best of our information and according to the explanations given to us, the accounts give the information required under the Act in the manner so required and give a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the company at the end of the financial year and of the profit or loss for the financial year then ended. We are independent of the company pursuant to Section 143 of the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Myra Stella and signed on behalf of Intellisys on 30th April 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, are there any questions you would like to ask on the reports and financial statements before you?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Samson Ashon, a shareholder and the General Secretary of Shareholders Association of Ghana. Thank you once more for the opportunity to express our views on the accounts. Mr. Chairman, let me start by congratulating you, the directors and management, for organizing an in-person meeting. During COVID and after COVID, sometimes it's always been on virtual, and we thought at least one or two of us would be invited, but we've never had opportunity. But today it's in person, and we're happy. We hope that it will continue, and that it shouldn't be a one-day wonder. Mr. Chairman, let me also congratulate you on the good result. The turnaround was so fantastic, and you need a pat at your back. You've really done well. We know the various economic challenges and terrain that you have actually passed through, and we only hope and pray that you will continue to surmount them so we can have more profit to increase the bottom line. And then finally, shareholders will have their dividend upgraded. Mr. Chairman, once more, I'm also happy that at least you've declared dividend after 2 years. Congratulations. Let us continue. We don't want it just this year. Next year, we won't get it. But next year, we are bringing baskets to come and collect the dividend. Mr. Chairman, on the revenue side, when you look at page 45, notes 5, we realize that the net revenue, there wasn't any sales, the foreign sale, there was no record there. I'd like to know why, was there any challenge, what are the challenges there that we couldn't actually export any of our products? And so there was nil there, 45 notes 5. Okay, so it was all local. Why is it that? Because the previous year we had a foreign one. And I'm somebody who wants to push up for the foreign things. Let us also expand. It is only then that we can get more. Because it appears the market here is already concentrated. So let's go out. Let's go to the Gambia. Let's go to Sierra Leone. Let's go to others and see what we can do. So please tell us something why you didn't. Then on the subsidiary, the flex fund. On the subsidiary, the flex fund, apart from the health product, what also informed the board to go into it? Because I've seen pet, agrochemical, and general goods and services. Will it be very consistent with what we are doing? Will it match very well? I want some sort of information, more information on that. So far as we want the subsidiary, we also like that it should be performing. On the non-financials, in fact, for the company to progress, besides the financial issues that we talk about, there are what we also call the non-financial. That is taking good care of our customers, taking good care of the staff that are producing, that are working for us. I will urge the board and management to really look at all this, and then the processes, and operations, the equipment, and all that. Let's make sure they're all functioning, so that at least we will be ensured of continuous production, which will lead to an increase in the bottom line. I also look at the doubtful debt. And all I want to say to urge management and the board to see if they can motivate the recovery team. Let's motivate them more to go out, because these are sales. Some are done on credit basis. And if we do not have a strong recovery team, our money should be flying somewhere when we're also expecting dividend. And the money, the recovery. So please, let's motivate them more so they can go and do what is needful. Mr. Chairman, I read on the capacity for directors that there was no training, but if the need arises, it will be there. What we want to know is, if there is any, please indicate in the book for us to know that this training for our directors, because we want our directors to be seen to be functioning effectively and efficiently for us. So let us know, then we'll be happy. And then closely associated with that is the evaluation of the directors. You know, this evaluation is done both internally and externally. So we'll expect that at least a report be done on the internal evaluation, external evaluation of our directors. We just want to know that you are performing. We know you are experts, but let's see that things are being done for us to also rest assured. And Mr. Chairman, let me also talk on this succession planning. At least we want to know. We realize that 1 or 2 people are coming. Yes, we know you've been doing it, but let there be some report just to give us that level of assurance that these things are working. And then the business continuity. Let us know that the company, in spite of certain unforeseen circumstances, will still go on. For instance, if there is a loss to access to the company offices, what do we do? All right? Let us know that these things are done. It gives us some level of assurance that our company is on the right path. You know, in case there is a default of counterparty, you need someone to supply, it hasn't supplied. What do we do in these cases? We need plans that will be put in place to ensure continuity. Mr. Chairman, I also noticed on key management personnel, page 53, an increase from 103,900 to 198,660, which is about 90.5% increase. I like the board and management to give us some level of explanation as to why it has gone up so much. Let me conclude by saying that technology, digitalization is the order of the day. So I don't even comment on increases in expenditure on technology because it is needed. All companies, if you don't do it, you die. And we don't want our August company to die. But what I want to say is that because of the increase in cybercrime, we want a level of assurance from management and a board that appropriate and robust systems have been placed so that at least we will counteract or offset this cybercrime. You know, the hackers are still there. They are still trying to develop new ways so that at least our data will not be exposed, we will not lose money, and the bottom line will be that our pockets will be heavy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Thank you. Shall we take another question before I ask? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, distinguished directors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kaduri Maxwell. I'm a shareholder and a legal practitioner. I want to follow in the spirit of my elder brother who commended the company for having done very well last year in this financial report being considered and coming out of a loss position into what is a very significant profit position. So I think that's really commendable. But I have, again, also following what he had also hinted. Your company is 50 years old. That's significant for a company, and I think it deserves a round of applause as well. For a company to have survived the vicissitudes of the economic headwinds, including the post-COVID, and come back to profitability for 50 years is very commendable. But within that frame, and your company is also listed on the stock exchange, but on the GAC section, what I observe is liquidity on your shares is very low, extremely low. And some shareholders rely on just dividend payments. Some of us trade. And because liquidity is low, growth in your share price is also low. So the trading part of the business, shareholders are not benefiting. And so my question is, what is the plan by the board to increase liquidity? Which may also mean getting on the main board of the GSE. Is there a plan to raise money? Because looking at your financials, particularly on pages 52 and 53, I see the company is also resorting to taking loans from the directors, on which you pay some level of significant interest. And you're still owing, as at December, about 1.2 million outstanding. Now, I'm sure given the interest of the shareholders in the company, if you came and asked for a rights issue, I am yet to see anybody in this room and outside this room that wouldn't subscribe. So the fact that you are resorting to taking loans from the directors means there is a liquidity problem. So why would we be taking that facility from the directors when you can get your shareholders to put money in the business? And that's, you use one stone to kill several birds. You reflate the company, you increase your shareholding, you get on the main board, and you provide liquidity. And then the shares begin to move, and people can then start trading and make money. So I came all the way from Abuja for this purpose. Just to tell you the level of interest I have in this company. So, and that's my message to the directors. We want to see this company punch above its weight. At 50 years, you can do so much better. And there's encouragement for you to do that much better. In addition to that, on that same page 53, there is no disclosure on the directors that loaned the company money. I would be interested in knowing. I know the directors are very heavy men and women of, like they say in my country, timber and caliber. You know, but it would be useful just from a transparency perspective to know what they loaned, how much they loaned, who loaned, and what exact interest payment the company is making. Last but not the least is to also push the position that my elder brother had also advanced, to the fact that last year there was no export sales. You are in a vantage position. You've got access to, at least at the minimum, a combination of Anglophone and Francophone West Africa. And I would also imagine that given the challenges in my home country, you can even export to Nigeria. You know, and you would have heads and shoulders within the ECOWAS framework. So why is that not being explored? Which would also mean you have to increase your capacity, which is why raising more money from shareholders becomes critical. I thank you once again, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think we've had two very interesting contributions. I would just like to broadly say a few words, and then I'll ask the Managing Director to go into the details. First of all, I think under this board, we should not have any concern of intravenous not being a going concern. It will be a going concern way into the future. Secondly, intravenous is also an example of generational succession in Africa. You know, individuals started this business in 1969, operations started in 1974, and we've kept it going. Those who started the company are dead and gone. However, the next generation which took over, because the succession planning that had been done in those days was adequate, we were able to seamlessly go through it. And there was a time when I was managing director of Intravenous, but I've been eased out. And today you see that none of the original owners are involved in the management. There's a clear separation of ownership and management. All those of us who sit on the board have a duty to ensure that the policies which are put in place are implemented by the management. I also want to say that with respect to exports, last year was a particularly difficult one because most countries in West Africa were beginning to open up. But I can tell you that this year we've only last week we were exporting to Côte d'Ivoire. You know, we are also on the tenders for Burkina Faso. We have actually exported to Nigeria before, but the Nigerian market is a difficult market, especially because of the requirements for registration in Nigeria. But in Côte d'Ivoire and this, we intend to do a lot of business this year. In the past, we have done Togo, we have done Benin. There were better days. But the way, the products that we have to sell, and this is why new strategies are now being put in place. These products are basically hospital-based products. All the big hospitals are owned by government. Government payment periods are long and even difficult to get. So intravenous supplies and payments do not come in as quickly as one expects, and that affects us. This is why, after the difficulties of the last couple of years, we have now adopted a strategy of doing those sales which the private sector can access and pay almost immediately. And I think that has enabled us to show that we can go back into the black.
I think our systems are quite robust.
You know, we have a fairly young management team, you know, supported by others, and they are doing very, very well so far as we are concerned. But the issues, the critical issues that both of you have raised, especially in relation to what we can do to raise additional funds to go into the business. This morning, the board was already talking about 1, private placement, and 2, rights issues. And we will come back to you to enable us to do both, because there are some individuals who may want to invest. A few years ago, several years ago, we did both, and we succeeded in moving the company to a certain level. The assurance I want to give to you is that this board will do everything possible to ensure that year on year, this becomes an example of a Ghanaian company trading on the stock exchange and paying dividends on a regular basis. This is what we are looking at. It's still a relatively small company, but the strategy is to expand the operations of this company. And there are certain things that you see, because we have noticed that it is at the retail end that the money is being made. We have always been a manufacturing company, concentrating on turning out the best products that we can have in our sector, you know. And all the institutions which buy from us, including the big institutions in Cote d'Ivoire and in Burkina, they buy from us because our quality is comparable to the quality which you find from anywhere in the world, from Europe, from anywhere. But in our own domestic market, because of the WTO arrangements, you have all kinds of products which are not of the same quality competing with us in the marketplace. And sometimes, especially in some of the rural health facilities, they look at the money that they have and then they go and buy cheap. But in 50 years, no intravenous infusions product has caused a medical problem for any patient in 50 years. I think some of the details that are required because of the questions you asked on the financial statement, I'll leave those details to the managing director, and I'm sure there are other directors who also will be able to speak better than I would. But I'm very pleased that the shareholders representative, not just intravenous shareholders, but I know you represent a lot of shareholders, and your voice is often heard. And we are hearing you loud and clear, and we will respond, you know, appropriately to you. So I thank you.
Thank you very much, Boche. I'm picking it from where the board chairman has left, but mine will be very specific to the questions that have been asked. You asked about recovery of doubtful debts. I think what we disclose on the face of the financial statement are not actual bad debts, but they are provisions. And it's very significant to make this point. If you look at the growth in revenue, year on year, I think revenue grew by over 50%. But if we take the trade debtors or receivables, the growth is less than 2%. So that it means that whatever we were selling in the course of the year, a lot was also being recovered as we were selling. The second point, the training for directors, that we should indicate it in the report when we want to do it. I think it's an advice that you've given us, because this year, or 2023, we didn't do any training for directors. So I think in the next meeting, when we have to do that, we'll indicate it in the report. I think also give us some ideas about succession planning. I think it's in the domain of the board in looking at that. Key management personnel increases. Yes, the amount has increased significantly. Part of the reasons is we increased the salary of management by 20%. We did reclassifications because some, the classification that was done last year, we had to do, better reclassification this year. And that has actually propelled the amount upwards. Cybercrime, yes, we are aware of that, and we are doing our best at our IT department to make sure that we are insulated from the bad effects of these IT issues. There was also a question of liquidity in the market. It's very, very slow. Yes, we admit that I think since we got listed at 8 pesos, currently the price is at 5 pesos. I think we need to improve that. So part of the arrangement is to continue to do engagement with the investors. So as part of this, we'll be doing what we call facts behind the figures to explain to the markets how we arrive at those figures and how we intend to do going forward, as already articulated by the chairman. There was also the question as to how we intend to do going forward. There was also the question. It was a US dollar loan at 6.5% under the current circumstance. And there was absolutely no way that you can go and get 6.5% interest rate per annum, not per month. So this was just a concessionary loan that we took from him to support the operations. So thank you very much. If I've left something out, I think it can be brought back. I can come back and clarify.